Chapter 4 Self-Realization. The perfections may already be present at birth, or they can be developed by herbs, mantras, by purification, and by samadhi. Any change into a new state of being is the result of the fullness of nature unfolding inherent potential. But the apparent causes of a change do not in fact bring it about. They merely remove the obstacles to natural growth, as a farmer clears the ground for his crops. All minds are created by ego, the separative sense of I. All these expressions of individuality, however highly developed, are the impulses of the force of evolution. And of these, only the mind, born of meditation, is free from the latent impressions that generate desire. The actions of the enlightened being are neither black nor white, but those of others are threefold. From their actions are sown the seeds of mental tendencies that bear fruit appropriate to their nature. Memory and impression have similar forms. They give birth to our tendencies, which operate continuously to shape our lives, even if their cause is separated from their effect by time, by place, or by lifetimes. And tendencies are without beginning, because the desire for fulfillment which sustains them is everlasting. They are maintained by the mind's bondage to its objects through the cycle of cause and effect. The past and the future exist within an object and are due to the differences in the characteristics of that object. Manifested characteristics are the present, unmanifested, the past and the future. All are the workings of the gunas. The state of an object at any moment arises from the unique state of the gunas then operating. Two similar objects appear different because of the differences in the minds that perceive them. An object does not depend on a single mind for its existence, for if it did, what would become of it when not perceived by that mind? An object is experienced only when it colors the mind. But the mind itself is always experienced because it is witnessed by the unchanging self. The mind does not shine by its own light. It too is an object, illumined by the self. Not being self-luminous, the mind cannot be aware of its objects and itself at the same time, nor is the mind illumined by another, more subtle mind, for that would imply the absurdity of an infinite series of minds and the resulting confusion of memories. When the unmoving consciousness of the self assumes the form of intellect, it becomes conscious mind. The mind that is colored by both its object and the self is all-embracing. And the mind, despite its countless separative tendencies, exists for the sake of the self, because it is dependent upon it. All confusion about the nature of the self vanishes for one who has seen its glory. Then, truly, the mind begins to experience the self as separate from activity, and is naturally drawn toward enlightenment. All thoughts that arise to interrupt this discrimination are born of the latent impressions that still exist. These are to be destroyed by the same means as were described for the causes of suffering. One who has attained complete discrimination between the subtlest level of mind and the self has no higher knowledge to acquire. This is the Dharma Mega Samadhi, the state of unclouded truth. It destroys the causes of suffering, and bondage of action disappears. Knowledge that has been freed from the veils of impurity is unbounded. Whatever can be known is insignificant in its light. This samadhi completes the transformations of the gunas and fulfills the purpose of evolution. Now, the process by which evolution unfolds through time is understood. The gunas, their purpose fulfilled, return to the original state of harmony, and pure, unbounded consciousness remains forever established in its own absolute nature. This is enlightenment.